guys, we just got through talking to John, and he laid it out for us that Revan's first was Zero, though he just said the first cameo. We're going to go through and talk about them, and we're going to give our opinions on which ones, and this serve our rebuttal to Zero being the first appearance. So we got slides and everything. Hopefully you agree or you can disagree. So while we're dropping it here in this agree to disagree, and see what you think.
Oh, you just buy them all. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Collect them all if you
can. Get them all. Yeah. Just get them all.
Yeah. I mean, when these do pop up in the shop, they're generally the whole run or none of them. But
all right, let's get this party started.
All right, so for those who don't have any idea what character we're talking about, it's this character. So if you played the game or if you read the books or did whatever you did, it's this guy. Might not seem important to a lot of people who don't know who he is yet, but he is one of the more popular characters over the last, say, 2 decades based on the video game, and makes some appearances in the Knights of the Old Republic comic book, etc. And that's what we're talking about today. So just in case you're popping in on this and you didn't watch the other video, that's who we're talking about. This character could become really, really important if they do a Old Republic TV show or movie or something related. We shall see about that. But anyway.
And this character is Darth Revan, and arguably the most popular. I mean, it's up there with Darth Maul, right?
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah. I mean,
got toys, everything.
Yep, he's got his own toys, 2 of them, 3 of them. He's got a 4-inch and 2 6-inch figures.
It's just a badass name. So.
Yeah, and it's a badass name and a really cool design.
Yeah.
So again, John had said that his true first appearance, I guess you would say, since he was the writer, he created him. You kind of have to go by him to a degree that it was this Zero issue.
And though he also at the same time poked fun at this
yes,
being the first appearance.
Yeah.
And he did point out that this is this came out after issue 1.
Yes.
So for those chasing Zane Carrick, and that's just go right back to 1.
Yep.
Yeah. He's in this top panel, just in that crowd, which is probably hard to see.
Well, he's the only brown robe dude in the crowd, if you know to look for a brown robe dude.
Right there.
Yep, and John does tell us that it's that guy, so we're not guessing here. It's that guy. But at the same time, as you said, Pete, you're right, though. As you said, Pete, he kind of makes fun of this kind of speculation. Like, who cares? Yes, this is him, but he's not doing anything. So he's just there. And he gives a couple of good examples in our longer 3 comic cast. If you click back over there and watch that, you can hear what he has to say about all. So,
but
that's almost the point. That's almost the point. Is who cares? And like the point of who cares leads us right into the next. I assume the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again, I mean, I pose right back to Mike. Who cares?
I agree. I mean, I never. It's not this book for me either. It's just not this book for me.
And what is this book? Mike is by far outside of Dr. Topher. Mike is familiar with all this. And
could it be the cover? Like I know we
cool cover,
Topher initially dropped it and said not Revan's in here, and so people got excited. And then it's a fun cover. It's one of the better ones starting off this Knights of the Old Republic. The end has amazing covers.
Yeah, it does.
But 9 is sort of where it's like, hey, that's a pretty cool cover. Now, I do like the fact that this book wasn't supposed to come out. It was supposed to be 10 was supposed to come out first. That's a really cool fact he did tell us.
It is. Yeah, so this was supposed to be number 10, technically.
That doesn't make it spec-worthy. But
no, right, yeah. And the only reason why, and Chris, thank you for saying that, or Ben, thank you for saying that. But I mean, you know, it's because I read this stuff when it came out. I mean, I was one of the 10 people who were buying these back then. I mean, you know, it's
not really one of the 10, right? It's one of the hundreds or tens or probably hundreds, but it's hundreds of you that are all like-minded that are fucking clinging on to your comics for dear life.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because
right?
my copies are right. You're right. My copies are my copies. Like I didn't buy them recently. I just own my originals. So
From when you got it, not on the newsstand, but from your LCS. And
right.
And did
Exactly.
any part of you, when you read this the first time, think this matters?
Nope.
Brown robe guy.
Not even close. This robed guy that has no face, didn't care, had no idea, moved on. Simple as that.
Shoot,
Little better look at him.
I
mean,
didn't read it till after the spec, and I still had to read it like 3 times to find out, okay, this is the brown robe guy that we're supposed to care about. I was glad I found the issue before it went crazy, because what the most recent sells like $900 or $1,000 or something like that.
And let's everybody pause for a second and examine that, right? This just shows that most of the people buying that comic at $800, $900, $1,000 have never opened it and never looked at this panel. This is ridiculous.
Because he doesn't even speak. I mean,
And yet they'll still argue that 181 over 180.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Get out of my brain, Rena.
You're so
I literally
right.
was going to say, and then you got the fucking 180 nonsense where people are like, well, you kind of got to give it to 181 because all he does is make a full fucking jumping out appearance with a word bubble. And you're like, yeah, that's a good point. And they're like, but, well, we think it's him. The writer said it's him. I mean, what the fuck? 1,200? No? 900? Deal.
And that just shows you the craziness of the market right now, and how much people will just follow what they read and they will not check for themselves. Just open the damn thing. I mean, look, I'm not patting myself on the back for having read this back when it came out, but I mean, look at this panel. This is silliness.
Yeah.
Would you even?
I want it. I mean, I have one, but I'd want it. But I would not be paying $500 for a raw copy of this personally because I just buy a trade. I can read
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I only wanted it to complete the run. I don't want it because it's not a key to me. I mean, this is one of those I think that will correct eventually.
Yeah, we'll see. 'Cause
yeah. And there's going to be a lot of people crying when it
Yeah.
starts to.
And it's going to correct to. Da-da.
Just a gorgeous cover, too.
It is a
I
great
like
cover.
Fortune. It's flashback, but
Yeah, but Ben, you should talk about this one.
Everything. I'll go off the rails on this fucking book.
I know you
So,
are.
First and foremost, shout out to Peter, because Peter on comicbookinvest.com has this laid out in an article, and it's not dollar bill. Oh no,
It's a usual
No.
suspect.
no usual suspect.
all right,
back when
cool.
I had
Thank
time
you,
to do
Peter.
that.
Sorry.
Which, if you go to the 3 Comic Monty list, I list every time Revan appears in an article before anyone else listed it. We had it. Topher started doing it. Then Peter covered it. Ben covered it in his list. Like, we've covered Revan, and you can see it's like 13 different times, and you can see us go through it.
Yeah.
Morello's Yoda, the behind the scenes. I
That's
read
fine,
that
man.
when it came out. Fuck that book. I'm like, well, okay. So 42. Everything about this book in the it was said the other night, the point of story. So if we place value on story, or we place value on appearance, good Christ, how is this book not? And this book is just starting to come up. There's one in auction as we speak. It's over 150. It's not going to break a 9.4 in grade. You can see it. But it's starting to get that respect, and this is why. Now, circling back, when you saw this, Mike, did you think, oh,
Yes.
it's Revan. That's awesome. I love that game.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly, yes, literally word for word. That's what I said. And because this is when you finally realize, oh, it's that guy. And even John said this in the podcast. He was agreeing with you, Ben, saying this is what people should care about. This is when he becomes part of the story. This is the Hulk 181. You know, this is not the Hulk 180 anymore. This is not Gambit in 14 panels in a crowd. He's in the damn story. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
And this page, man, this page just
Yeah,
finishes it. Like,
yeah. Yep.
get the fuck
Bang,
out.
right there.
And that's it. And
Yeah,
and no,
not
not the
Bib Fortuna.
not the Bib Fortuna lookalike there.
No.
Unfortunate arrow placement by me.
I do have to say, 42 has actually been harder for me to find than 9 was, because that means that people held on to 42 if they bought it and like when you look through, like 40 through 50 are the ones that are harder to find to me than one. Now nine's become hard because everyone's got it because people told people it was important.
Well,
But
print
42
run was
is a hard
dying.
one.
Print run was dying by this point in the series, so yeah.
Yeah, 42 was the toughest for me early on to get because again, there'd be that gap. I'd be flipping through like, all right, I got 40, I got.
And there is the
Wow.
newsstand because I have a 50 that's a newsstand, so there has to be a 42 newsstand.
I assume so. None of mine are
I
newsstands.
think I bought one.
Of course you have a newsstand. You have all of the newsstands, Ben.
Almost. I don't have a 9 newsstand. I have 2 copies of 9. I paid $1 for one out of a bin, like the day Topher broke the news, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll buy it because it's in front of me." Like,
Yeah.
guess I should have bought 40 of that book because everyone thinks I went deep on Star Wars. I bought the books I preached about.
Yep.
I never bought 9 because I kept laughing about it. Morello and I would be like, I would repeatedly say to Mike, "Wait, which one's Revan? Like, what the fuck is happening?" He'd be like, "Dude, it's
I
in
dragged
the
my feet.
robe." I'd be like,
out the first wave.
Yeah.
that is everyone in a Star Wars comic, the dude in the robe. Like,
Well, here's the funny thing too. When the news broke and the book started to go crazy at like $50 at the time, I'm like, meh, I have my copy. I'm good. People are going to realize this book is a nothing, and they're going to move on. And then they didn't realize that, and I'm like, maybe I'll buy a second copy. So I actually this is the only one I have an extra copy of is 9, and I will sell it so that I can get another 42 for myself.
and I want to
but-
be clear when we run through this because we're awfully savage about issue 9. Topher breaking that is, wow, man, I would like a definitive point in speculation, right? Like,
Yep.
I want to own the list and be like, yeah, the list came out, and like the list came out and people kind of paid attention. And then fucking literally like Revan first appearance, Coder 9, broke the internet. Star Wars went nuts. Mike and I went, well, we clearly didn't buy enough. Like, it's already
exactly.
too fucking late. Like,
Yeah, it was by then. And even then, Topher was already saying, yeah, it's 9, but it's really not even 9. It's actually earlier than 9. It is 0. He didn't actually ever say 0, but he
sneaky earlier appearance. I love it.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
want to credit him and make it clear that we're not here because he gets a lot of shit for that book. I'm not giving him shit. I'm giving that book shit.
Yeah, but even
I
he
am
gave
in
that book
wholehearted
shit.
agreement. Exactly. And I'm in agreement with him. And I get why it hit the way it did, but it amplifies Mike's earlier point of people don't open comics.
Yep.
I'm guilty of it. I did the shit with 34. I kept telling everyone, oh, it's first Darth Scion. Darth Scion. And you open the book and you're like, holy fuck, no, it is not. It's not. Different show, but it's not. Anyway.
I'm
This
guilty
is
of it.
Revan.
I'm guilty of it this week. I bought 3 copies of Daredevil 25. I haven't opened that thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
She might not even be in there, for all I know.
He's in there.
She is, because they just announced the second print.
Yeah.
I know.
Got
I
her
know,
own
but you know what I mean.
25
But still, I can't be a hypocrite. I mean, it's just I didn't look
Yeah,
at that
but
book. I just
there's a
snagged
difference
them as I found them.
buying for cover, buying even for $20, fine. Buying at $500 without confirmation, that's just insanity. And that's
Very
the
true.
biggest thing that's our biggest grievance. That book can be a $50 book. I mean, cameos, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with $100 on 9/8. But when it's hitting $1,000 and it doesn't have a it doesn't have a word bubble, it doesn't have anything cool about it, that really makes me mad. I mean, it's just one of those like, I will gladly, if I had a 9/8 copy, I would. If you want to spend $500, hey, you can get it cheap. I'll give it to you for $500. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, my copy's a beat copy, so
They're like $1,500, $2,000, aren't they?
every week
Yeah.
it seems like setting new records.
Yeah. Like it's like
Well-
mellow right now, but it's the way AF-15 fucking mellowed out when it was like, okay, it's stable at $5,000 a point. You're like, okay, I mean, I guess that's stable. Good God. It was $1,000 a point 12 months ago, folks.
Yeah. Well, and hey, we don't want to ignore the last book either. The book that originally was considered to be the book. And let me say that in this Tales 23, there are 2 covers, as you can see. And honestly, to find that photo cover in a newsstand is a bitch. especially in good shape. So even though this isn't, even though 42 is maybe more important, this book is still hard to find and should have value.
When did it come out? Like timeline wise, because Tales is a different. Like it's easy to tell 0 to or 9 to 42,
42.
but when did 23 come out? Like, did it come out? How far after 9 did it come out? Before 42, like where did it fall?
Mike will know the timeline of the books better, but the comic, and I'm going to interrupt you if you were heading here, Mike. I'm going to segue into you, brother. This is when, because there's a couple pages before where Malik, they tell that Malik gets the fucking why he got the jaw because Revan fucked them all up.
Yep.
I think this is within 5 years after, but again, Mike knows better. This is post Revan fucking Malik up.
It is. This is where things get really strange because you're talking about like flashback kind of stuff in some of these books, and these writers aren't talking to each other in this event at all either. Yeah. And you're talking about a few months apart on these books, so I don't know that there even really was a planned timeline. To be honest, the Tales books weren't even meant to fit in with anything else when they were coming out. So, and that's kind of the charm of them. And that's sort of why there's like this photo cover and drawn cover thing for each of them, and it was sort of meant to sort of stand on its own. So I'm not going to put myself on a hard line on where this falls as far as the actual timeline goes, because I'm not sure there's a definitive answer for that. I can look into it a little bit more and see if I can come up with something a little bit more definitive. But based on what this series, the Tales series, was meant to be, you shouldn't be trying to put it in anything like that, in my opinion.
It's one panel. This is like a panel.
And it's one
other than like the definitive,
ghost, like,
it is
memory kind of thing. It's not even. This isn't happen live in the story. It's like a. I don't know how to.
Well, it happens in chronology. This happens first.
Mm.
Yes, but I'm saying in this issue, like this moment in the issue isn't like, not really the. I don't know.
So this in the issue, again, there's 2 pages before, there's a gargantuan full splash page of Malik.
Yep.
And it's Malik. And this is Malik's first full. And by Malik, I mean Darth Malik. Because the other thing people don't grasp, and again, I didn't until I fucking started talking to Mike and Topher. But now I'll talk swinging dick like I know it all, because I do know it all, because I learned it. That said,
read it.
And I have read it. This is the only comic book appearance of Darth Revan. Everything in Coder is Revan. He's still a Jedi. He hasn't gone to the dark side. He's obviously headed there with the Mando Wars or the Sith, whatever. It's Mandalorian Wars, right, Mike?
Yep.
And like whatever goes down that timeline, like it's happening, but he's not there yet.
You're totally
Malik,
right.
I think actually goes dark in 42.
And
Malik
that might
goes fucking like wild in 42. Sorry, Mike.
You're right. No, I'm sorry because I'm excited because you're right because I totally forgot about that point. And it's not semantics. That's important. No.
Yes.
And again, it makes this book still worth you trying to grab. People have forgotten about this book in relation to number 9. Everyone wants that number 9 when they should be wanting the 42 instead. But they've kind of forgotten about this book. Now might actually be a really good time to buy that book, Tales 23, while it's off their radar, because you're right. It is the first time he is Darth, and that's an important piece of information, especially with this badass panel.
And like you mentioned before, this is a tough book to get in high grade because it's square bound, it's thick, so any ding or dent that ain't coming out most
it's
cases.
not coming out. It's a glossy cover.
Yeah, that's what I said. They're magazine covers. They're not.
It is. Yeah, you're right. They're like magazine covers, exactly. Yes. And then there's newsstands of the photo covers, and you're like, man, you start getting down that rabbit hole. You find a 9.8 newsstand photo cover, you should be getting some top dollar for it.
From me.
Yeah. From a lot of people. I know a lot of people looking for high grades of all these Tales books.
Yeah.
They're all
Star
tough.
Wars, Dark Horse, Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so,
I don't know if that loops us out, but
so guys, you can agree to disagree. We give whether or not it's 9 or 42 or 0 or 23. We agree that.